I wanted to make sure to welcome you and all of our guests today to TAC's Tic Talk. Thank you so much, Dr. Kent Greenawalt from Foot Levelers, for joining us alongside our editor, Dr. Joe Bush, who's taking time out from his busy schedule seeing patients to join us here. But Kent, you're the man of the hour.
Wow.
What can we say? How many years can you say you've got under your belt in the chiropractic profession?
Well, if we count from when I was born, because I got adjusted the moment I was born, it's quite a few. And I hate to tell you the number. I'd like to keep that secret because I don't want you to write me off too early here when you learn how old I am, okay? A long time. Decades.
Well, you're looking, and actually I wanted to pull up some of the old covers of the magazine and the old articles we have way back when you had the mustache. You know, you've gone through many different decades really of different looks, and so but we'll see if we get those added in post-production.
I just can't wait to see those. I bet those
Jacqueline's got one on her wall. I think she's looking at one right now, so I'm like,
yeah, right.
I just wanted to let you know that you're definitely like a fine wine. You do get better with time. And if you're a walking testimony of what chiropractic can do, you are a very great spokesperson for our profession. So it's an honor to get to sit down with you today too and catch up a little bit. You know, I know that on the podcast, we like to do this at least once a year, hopefully. So we can find out. And, you know, you've had so many different areas in the profession. But I wanted to say, because somebody's bringing up an issue about politics recently, so I wanted to see what your insight was on the recent turn of events politically in the U.S. You know, should we be optimistic? It's been a real roller coaster ride, I'd say, for the past few years. So how do you think, you know, with your kind of insight, what do you think that means for chiropractors?
I think that's a great question, Jacqueline. And I will tell you that from the bottom of my heart, I think that that the stars are aligned better now than they have ever been for our profession politically. Why do I say that? Because President-elect Trump put RFK in charge of Health and Human Services. He's a walking model, in my opinion, RFK Jr., of the principles that we believe in chiropractic, like proper nutrition, exercise, outside activities, sunshine, healthy diet, all those things is what he's embracing. And I think he's also embracing a wish that he wants. Now get this, 50% of the NIH budget goes to alternative and functional medicine. I saw Heidi Hebeck at the recent Chiro Congress, and I said, Heidi, we don't have enough researchers to do all the work that the money's going to be available. And she had some colorful adjectives that she likes to expound. And she said, well, we'll live with it. And yes, we will. So the bottom line is we're going to have more research opportunity than ever. We're going to have somebody that's actually going to listen to us. He's going to smack Big Pharma, in my opinion, about all the things that they've done and really change the landscape and the prism about what we do. I think we're golden right now. And that's my opinion. It can be wrong, but boy, I think I'm right. This is going to be good. This is going to be very good.
Kent, you've had such an important role with the last, since you began with chiropractic and growing its footprint politically with the media, of course, one of the founders of the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress for that effort, for the public-facing messaging that we have with chiropractic. Now, politically, how are we able to interact with these different groups of people, especially with, President Trump, right, having an interest in upending all of the historic misspending that's happened in the past, and then Kennedy with some interest with the alternative healthcare application.
Sure.
How are we interacting with these people, and how should we be interacting with them?
Let's do the how we should first.
Right, because how we are historically hasn't been optimal.
When I founded the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress 21 years ago, we had to get a mission statement that would work with the whole profession. Mm-hmm. And that's difficult because we're a very diverse group that has a lot of different ideas. The beauty of it is we all get people better.
Mm-hmm.
So the mission for the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress was very simple. Positive press for chiropractic. And we came together and we agreed that there wasn't anything wrong with the press saying nice things about us. Nobody could fight that.
Right.
Great. That was an example of how we came together and agreed.
Mm-hmm.
I just told you that we have a fantastic opportunity here. We can't screw it up. Let me say that again. We cannot screw it up. We get one good shot to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to be united in our messaging and put your little petty things aside that, well, I think it's this and I think it's that. You know what it is? It's chiropractic.
Mm-hmm.
Get over it and let's make it happen. What does that mean? That means having one message that goes to these people. That means we don't lobby a senator on Monday with one agenda and lobby them on Wednesday with another, and they throw their hands up and say, get your act together and come back and see me when you know what you want.
Mm-hmm.
We have to really do this. And I think legislation is the absolute holy grail for our profession, because imagine if we were, John Lennon wrote a song, Imagine. Imagine if we had a profession where we were paid fairly for what we did.
Mm-hmm.
We had equality and equity with what other health professionals get. Imagine if we had insurance codes that did the same thing. Imagine if we were included in Medicare and Medicaid and all these things on an equal basis. To do that, we have to be unified.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to work together. And what I was very proud of, when we were at the summit meeting in Denver a couple weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and an announcement came over the internet that RFK had been appointed to Health and Human Services. Within 90 minutes, we had a letter of congratulations on behalf of the chiropractic profession that was signed by 35 individual members at that group.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of cooperation we need. In the beginning, there was some debate. I don't know if I'm authorized. I don't know if I can say this. I don't know. Well, find out.
Mm-hmm.
The point is, we were one of the first people in the nation to congratulate him, and we're not going to let him forget that.
Mm-hmm.
I know people, including myself, that are going to go to the inauguration. We are not going to let this thing go. We're going to work very hard to make this happen.
Wait,
For listeners that may not understand.
I'm sorry. What? I didn't hear it.
Well, I was just going to say, for listeners that may not understand, the Chiropractic Summit is a steering committee, basically, of vendors which have a stake in the chiropractic profession to help survive
and to expand on that, and to expand on that, Dr. Joe, you're right, but it's a group of people that get together a couple of times a year that represent all kinds of organizations in chiropractic, whether it's the ICA, whether it's some colleges, whether it's some vendors, whether it's the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress, whether it's yourself, the American Chiropractor, all of that. So it's a very diverse, inclusive group. And all I'm saying was they agreed together. At that moment, they agreed that the people that would communicate the message going forward would be Dr. Sherry McAllister with the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress. They mentioned Baron Holm because he had a relationship with RFK on a personal level. But that's what we agreed to as a group to try to answer your question, who's going to communicate. The lead was going to be with the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress to try to, who Sherry's had wonderful media training and lobbyist training, and that's good. All we want is to be treated fairly and to be included and let them know that we're part of the solution to all these things.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
I watched something the other day, and I don't know if you get Netflix, but most people do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many people in the audience have watched that series called Painkillers. Has anyone seen that? If you haven't watched the Netflix series Painkillers, please do it.
Uh-huh.
It takes an in-depth view of Big Pharma, specifically Purdue, and what they did, and knowing what they did to the American public concerning opioids, and specifically Oxycontin. And we could go for numerous podcasts on this whole thing. But to those in the audience, if you haven't done it, it's going to take you a couple hours to watch the thing because it's a series. It's 5 series. It opened my eyes, and we were one of the first people on the planet to bring the Oxycontin problem to America. RFK is completely on the opposite side of that, and that means we're on the right side.
I love it. Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. All good.
I absolutely agree. There couldn't be a better time. And so that's why I want to be sure that we have all the ducks in a row, right? Because historically, whenever we have the best opportunity ever, we manage to fumble. And so, with this steering committee, or whatever we would call it, the group at the summit who met there at the Chiropractic Congress, where all of the state association leaders were, I was also partaking in that meeting, of course. And
that's right. It was
a very interesting debate there, and there's a lot of great positive energy. And it's just so when those meetings conclude, is the follow-up happening. But the real underlying message that we were talking about is that we need that one voice, and that one, in order to make sure that we're not muddling the messaging. And so that's why this is an important channel for us to go through. So
absolutely.
I absolutely support the F4CP. And if anyone's out there listening, definitely, and you need to be participating in that so that they can continue that lobbying that we're trying to do.
Well, do you want to mention to them too? We'll put it in after here, but is there a web link or anything for people who are interested on what the F4CP can do for them and how they can help contribute?
The F4CP is the link, I believe. I should have that memorized by now. But the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress would be what we're talking about here. But let me just say this. The Foundation for Chiropractic Progress has 38,000 plus members. Now, you all at the American Chiropractic have one of the best lists of chiropractors in the world. You're known for that. And for the people listening, how many people are on your active reading list of the magazine, which I would say are the active, realistic chiropractic? How many do you have?
We're just 50,000. We've got at least 25,000. We call them requested. That's the most engaged readers. So that's
let's put it this way. You said 50,000. You said we've got 25,000 really active, and the foundation has 38,000 members.
Amazing.
Now, a lot of those are from state associations where they're automatically in, but if you want to help, and I'm pointing to everybody out there, if you want to help your profession, you join.
Right.
And donate an adjustment a month or whatever it is. Anything is helpful. But there's never been a time where we can do more than right now. We're going to publish a book by Forbes. Anybody heard of Forbes? Yeah. Right. Forbes magazine Forbes, the corporation, is going to publish a book for the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress, and it's going to go worldwide. It's going to go in every library. It's going to go in every bookstore, airports, everything you can think about, and it's going to tell the chiropractic story. What more beautiful if we were conducting the symphony and say that what we want to have happen for our wonderful profession? Could you have an administration that's embracing natural health care and wants to give 50% of their budget to research why we're good, and then have a book that says our story that's going to be distributed by Forbes magazine with an outfit by the name of Finn in New York City, which is a world-class PR firm promoting the thing? Get on board. My God, this is lining up beautifully.
That's exciting news. I've never heard that. So when is that planning on being dropped there, Kent?
October of next year.
Wow.
October.
2025.
Well, Jared's going to try to claim it's for his birthday or something.
And what I would ask, and you know, I believe I gave you correct data there, but Sherry has so much going on. Right now she's in Saudi Arabia. Do you know the foundation has 11 countries besides the United States that's doing positive press for chiropractic. So when we get a good research study, we put it in the funnel. We send it to 11 different countries right now, and she's working with all the Saudi Arabia oil conglomerate to get chiropractic a part of all the oil workers in the world. I mean,
phenomenal.
We're not fooling around here.
So
and I'm not even talking about foot levelers. We're just talking about the foundation here.
No, because you're doing so much for everything, right? So you got to talk about everything.
I wanted to mention too, because I mean, when you talk about the foundation having 21 years history, and I mean, I've got at least 27 years under my belt here at the magazine, which we get the honor of watching, witnessing, documenting the stories over the years. I just wanted to mention, because you're a second generation, this is a family business, foot levelers. And it's the same thing. I resonate a lot because we're second generation leading up the magazine, which our fathers.
100%. That's right.
I have been witnessing, because many people see, there's what you've inherited, and also then what I have seen you've been doing, and your real passion has been always in helping to bridge the gap that you've got, where chiropractors, instead of shooting at each other, you've been always reaching outside of chiropractic to help strengthen and to get the message out to the world, so that all of our little things that divide us internally don't mean a thing.
That's right.
The main thing has always been your real passion, and I've seen this and witnessed it, and I'm so excited to hear it from you and to see how you've been teeing this up. People think like this is no overnight sensation. You have been doing this, and we've got it documented through the magazine for decades, where you would do this over and over, and you've been getting it better and better. And I'm so excited and so honored. And I want to make sure our readers and listeners know this about you.
We're just getting started. And if you looked at one of Elon Musk's rockets, I think we have we're on a rocket right now. Right. And we've got a tremendous payload that we're going to send out to the world with a lot of thrust and a lot of energy in those rockets to let people know what we have. And we're not going to be a secret anymore. I mean, that some hospitals, a patient goes in nowadays and they say they have back pain, and they give them a brochure from the foundation, and they send them off to go see a chiropractor because they say we can't help you as good as they can.
Awesome.
I mean, I remember my dad being called a quack when I grew up. It's changing. Right. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah.
We covered that in one of the interviews. And so definitely look in the archives, digital.theamericanchiropractor.com for that interview to learn that story, because it's seriously impactful. Now, Kent, you have this long history. We'll use that as a segue into the foot levelers story, right? And so, let's talk a little bit about the past. You've also had this real interest in using technology to bring forth innovation with the orthotics, the spinal pelvic stabilizers, I should say.
Sure.
How has that changed over the years, and where are we at today, and what do we see coming forth?
Well, I will say this. Number one, Foot Levelers is a chiropractic company because we fully support the adjustment. That's our whole deal. That's why the very first orthotic that was made was not called an orthotic. It was called a spinal pelvic stabilizer, because that's exactly what it does. The minute when you adjust a patient horizontally and they get up and walk out of your office vertically, things change right now, immediately. And all our goal is to fortify that adjustment, make it hold better, because we know that the adjustment is the key to health. So we want to keep everything the way it should be. That's the premise. From that, we went door to door. We didn't, my father did. He told me how he used to fill up the back of his car with casting kits and go drive and talk to chiropractors and show them how to do this. But then electronics became involved, and we had the first scanner. I guess I should have said earlier, my father invented the orthotics business. There wasn't anything really like this. So this is a complete innovation. And then the patent on the first casting kit is what my dad was a genius. He patented that. And then we got a little farther, and then it became time to do the scanner, which we did, and we have about 4 different generations of that. Along the way, and the doctors in the audience, and Dr. Joe, you know this, that if we were to do a map of mechanoreceptors in the body, we know that the highest concentration of those mechanoreceptors are in the feet and the neck. I mean, that's just what we know, okay? And so realizing for whole body wellness, we need to support that adjustment from the ground up, because when the foot hits the ground, everything changes. We know that happens. My father was in a car accident in 1969. I'm switching now.
Okay.
And he got a lateral whiplash. And Dr. Joe, as you know, if you're going to get a whiplash, that's the one you don't want. Not that you want either one, but a lateral one, you don't want that one for sure.
Yeah.
And he had all the problems. I used to hold his left hand and his right hand, and this one would be warm and this one would be cold. Same body, okay? He couldn't sleep, so he invented the Pillowpedic that we've had all these years.
Mm-hmm.
And that allowed him to sleep. But now we had a day program and a night program. How to keep them aligned properly during the day, how to get that cervical curve if they had a military neck back with the 4 to 6 pounds of cervical traction in the pillow.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I'm telling you this was for decades.
Mm-hmm.
But then more recently, we had a breakthrough. And remember, we invented the cervical pillow business. There wasn't anybody until we did it. Now everything you see is come from our original patents.
Mm-hmm.
We invented the foot leveler, the orthotic business. But now, because of those mechanoreceptors relocation, we have a new scanning device called the Posture Check 3D. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
That means the patient stands on it, they get a laser scan of their feet with hundreds of thousands of laser points.
Mm-hmm.
But they also get a scan of their neck, AP and lateral, just like Dr. Yoakum would say we should take an x-ray.
Mm-hmm.
And from that analysis, we're now going to make a custom pillow that's going to come out in the next first part of the year, next quarter of 2025. We're going to set the world on fire because we'll be the first company ever to manage both ends from a custom point of view with the sole purpose of having better posture and maintaining the chiropractic adjustment. That's it. We're not going to get any fancier than that. But by doing that, we'll have done something that no one else in the world has ever done. So what's Foot Levelers? Foot Levelers is a service organization that just happens to sell a product to make humanity better. That's it. No more than that. That's
there you go. That's small goals, right?
That's what we
Make
do.
humanity better. I love it. No, and as a matter of fact, I'm very excited. I do have one of those posture analyzers, and that it does give you a snapshot of. It gives you a score on the related to the forward head posture, and so I'm excited. Who doesn't have a patient that has bought 1,000 pillows and defaults to just a rolled up towel? Or beds, like they're replacing beds every week. It's like, oh my God, I got to get a new bed. And they're like, it's like the bed never does the trick. So I'm very excited to see that release in March.
Well, we're thrilled about it, and we're not going to be shy about it. The world's going to know, and and as part of this, even before the foundation got started. We took out ads in magazines like Golf Magazine and Shape Magazine that the women would purchase. And we would talk about why they needed to go see a chiropractor. We know that the holy grail for a chiropractor and their practice is the new patient flow. We're working with a worldwide, very famous, yet to be unnamed, we're not going to tell you, advertising firm where we're looking at how we can help get more patients into your office. That has nothing to do with the foundation, which is doing that right now. It's what Foot Levelers can do on the other hand, and there's a very strong church and state here. I don't mix the two. One is the foundation, One is foot levelers. Foot levelers, like any other vendor that supports it, no favors.
Mhm.
But foot levelers is going to do their part with this custom pillow and the new Posture Scan 3D to try to generate business and patients for all of our doctors, of which we have tens of thousands. And we want to do that to make us all stronger. I think that PR effort, with the foundation's PR effort, with the political things that are going on, if you're not happy, you're never going to be. You're going to be miserable all your life. You're not going to be happy, okay? It's all good. It's all good. Yeah.
So, well, people still can be upset in chiropractic, Kent. I mean, we can still,
you bet they can. I understand. I understand.
If we're happy, we're not going to be doing anything, Kent. We'll just be like, it's just, let it keep going. So, I mean, there's still political strife that we need to resolve, right? Some other areas, but at least we got that corner solved.
We're working on everything that we can. Some things you can control, some things you can't. What you can have some influence on and try to make better, that's where we focus.
Well, definitely. And Kent, throughout COVID, I kept thinking, and even recently, we just did a recent interview with Dr. Jill LaMarche, who's a chiropractor who himself was on death's door with a terrible, facing down the barrel of a double lung. What was it, Joe?
Heart.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah,
horrible.
it was a heart.
Yeah.
Right.
And he said, he had to take inventory in the fact that he himself was not a practice member he would go get adjusted, but he wasn't going faithfully to one chiropractor getting the full works. And this is what I like. What you're doing is when you're helping them to see from the neck to the feet, that's the works. It's not just getting the adjustment and walking out the door and then living a lifestyle where you're not aware of it. You've got to get the exams. You've got to make sure you can see, because a lot of us think, I'm getting adjusted, I'm fine. And here he was like, he had to enroll himself into a chiropractic clinic after years of practice, because he got to a point where he couldn't even practice. And it saved his life. And so I keep thinking, even through COVID, I'm like, what an amazing industry we get to be in.
I know him well. He's a good friend.
Just tell people, go to a chiropractor. And now we got to make sure, though, that the chiropractors are armed with all the equipment, like the stuff that you're mentioning, too, so that they're not just doing the bare minimum, like Jill, where you're just adjusting them and they walk out the door and they don't have the support.
Well, this is, and agree. And this is for all the doctors in the audience here. Just think of it very simply. When you're adjusting your patient and they're laying down and they're horizontal, I preach this all the time in my post-grad lectures. But when the patient is lying down and they're horizontal and you do your good work, and it doesn't matter what technique you use, because we know they all get the body better. But when they get up and they go to make another appointment or leave your treatment room, when they go from horizontal to vertical, things change that are beyond your control. You did a great job with them when they were in front of you. You need to stay with them through their care program so they can have their optimum health. And to keep that adjustment in place and to give it permanency is one of the finest things you can do. I had a doctor one time say to me, he says, if I use these foot levelers, they won't come back as much. And I had to think about it. And I said, well, here's another way to look at it. Doctors that get people better get more referrals and have a thriving practice. You're not saying goodbye to that patient. They're going to stay with you, but you're saying hello to all their friends. Get them better.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
No, I get stressed if the patients aren't getting better. So I recommend foot levelers on all patients. They do a scan as it's supposed to be done. And you guys have a great training to help anyone that is interested in taking advantage of this technology. They'll train your CAs too. And once you hit the bed too, I mean, what do? They not only when they get off of your table, but once they hit the bed and they're there for 8 hours, I mean, how is that impacting them? So
100%. And we all know that there's three types of postures: stand, sit, and recline. What else are you going to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we can manage standing and laying down,
Mm-hmm.
that's the majority of it.
Right.
Except during football weekend, okay? But that's the majority of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Have them function at their optimum health.
Right.
That's
Well,
it.
And Kent, I wanted to mention too, because I know, we get to observe and take a look at, obviously, what the costs are for certain orthotics. And I know the competition, it might be a drugstore, this and that. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, but you get to a place where you realize people spend more on a pair of tires for their car, which they know they're going to have to replace in a few years, than they will on their own feet and their shoes. And they don't think that what could be happening. The same thing as the tires wear out. They don't think about how their shoes, how an orthotic, all these things. You need to be investing in all of those different aspects. And my goal is to teach people to invest first in their health more than even their cars and their homes, so that we get them to the chiropractor and invest in realizing that's the best investment you can possibly make. Health is the true wealth.
Well, Jackie, you stole what I say, because no, you did, because I don't use the tire example, but here's what I say to the patient: if you wear out your body, where are you going to live?
Right. Yeah.
Where are you going to live?
it's
So we should take care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
well, it depends on your audience. You can use the shock absorber if it's a mechanic.
Of course. Communication is all that matters.
Yeah.
How we talk. That's right. What's up?
All right. Well, I was gonna say I've got a European car with run flats. So you know what I mean? Like those are the kind
Jacqueline's
of
are super expensive.
That's what I want for my feet too. I'm like, that's what to me the orthotic is. That's what your guys' tailor-made, custom-made orthotic is. That, you know what I mean? You're not gonna get something cheap for your feet.
Well, let's talk about even your body, right? Because we can show, if you only weigh 100 pounds. Now, Jacqueline, you might be in that category, okay? But if you only weigh 100 pounds, you put 50 times the mile on each foot. So there's a lot of shock. Think of the arthritic conditions. Think of the joint problems. Think of your patients. And the issue is, every time you take a step, you have that happen. There's all kinds of different things that people can call an orthotic or a device or an insole. Wonderful. But we're the only ones that include the three arches, which are critical to body balance and proper neurological proprioception. And we have 37 published research studies that say we're doing it the right way. And we had one on golf. It's very interesting. I don't play much golf. I don't have time. But the research says if you put these in your shoe, you'll hit the ball 9 to 14 yards farther. Your club head speed is going to go up 5%. Your backswing is going to go 10 degrees more, and your follow through is going to be 10 degrees more. And subjectively, you're going to be less tired at the end of 18 holes. But everything else is documented. So what I tell people, I say, put these in your shoes, shut up, and double the bet. When you play golf. But we can prove what we do, and that's the difference. It's an evidence-based world. It's not only where you get a good Google review, which is important, but what does the science say? What does the research say? What do independent studies say about what you do? And I think if the scoreboard were to be published, we have the 37 published research studies. The competition is zero.
Well, and this coming from your father, who actually created the first orthotic, and now where people can go to a drugstore and buy something that they think may be similar. I remember you telling me one time, and you were like, Jackie, if that stuff worked, we'd be promoting it more. But quite frankly, if I like you and you're my friend, I've got the studies that show that the custom-made orthotic is the only way to go.
Of course. Of
You know?
course.
It's like running around on a flat tire, honestly, Jacqueline, because the material is not the same, and the way that they craft the orthotics to the scan is specific to the patient. It's just, it's not even close. So,
Well, we
flat
not
tire.
and Dr. Joe, you're so correct. But when we get those hundreds of thousands of points with our laser, we correct it. We don't make the orthotic, and I know you didn't say that at all, but I want to help our audience understand. We don't make the orthotic to fit that foot. We correct what we see is wrong to get them balanced. When that patient pronates more on one side or the other, if you have two arches and one drops down,
Right.
this side creates a functional scoliosis. But our research shows we get an average correction of 5 millimeters. And there's other research that shows that the minute you have 5 millimeters or more, you have an automatic back pain, the Freiberg study. What I'm trying to tell you, we've taken the chiropractic that we know and put the science into it to get you the easy answer. What's the easy answer? You put them on the scanner and scan, that's all you do. I mean, you don't have to do anything else. It's simple. Yeah. That's why it works.
Well, for me, what I like, and I'm sorry to interrupt here, Jacqueline, but
sure.
You get them immediately talking about biomechanics, which it's not as historic as the subluxation, but everyone can understand symmetry and things like that. And of course, our technical knowledge, chiropractors, we understand the subluxation complex and its profound effects on life and healing, but immediately that's just a visual, and a picture's worth 1,000 words, and now so you have the front, and it'll it just hits them right in the limbic system, that old brain that makes them understand things a little bit better. It's like that light, the blinking light in your car. So anyway, everything for me is a car, I guess. I just spent too much time in traffic.
Car guy. Okay, got it.
Jacqueline, what were you going to say? Sorry for
No, and I know people who had knee problems that once they use the orthotics, now they're able to play their, basketball or sports again. Like, people don't think a lot of times. I mean, they don't think about it unless the doctors are educating them on it, about how a pain in the knee, the back, the neck, all of these things could be due to misalignments and just an imbalance on the foundation.
That's right. We have many letters and compliments how we prevented knee surgery, how we prevented many spinal surgeries. On the spinal surgeries, half don't work. I mean, they spend a lot of money and half don't work. And let me tell you just a quick sidebar on the opioid stuff. I wrote a paper that was published in the Journal of Compensation Benefits. Now, that's a journal that the Fortune 500 HR executives read. And the whole thing that they try to do is to get great care for their patients and not spend as much money, minimize the cost and get the high result. Well, that's chiropractic all the way. Right. So I wrote this paper and sent it to them. And I quoted some information about opioids. And you probably know this. But when I lecture, I tell doctors, you might not know it. And you might not be able to say who they are, but you have saved people's lives. And they look at me like I'm crazy. But let me tell you why. Every year, they write over 200 million opioid prescriptions. Wow. Every year, over 200 million. Now, of that, 20% get addicted. Okay, so 2 times 2, now you got 40 million people that are addicted every year. 20% of the people that go for an MD or they have a back problem, 20% that get an opioid prescription get addicted because of back pain. So now you've got the 40 million times the 2, 4 times 2 is, you got 8 million people every year that now are addicted because of back pain. And every year in Yankee Stadium, you fill it up, and it dies. Everybody dies from this. So the crux of the paper was this. Why wouldn't you support, recommend, fund, and cover with insurance to go to a protocol that says this is safe, this is proven, it's not deadly,
Right.
and let them try chiropractic as a very first resort,
Right.
first call of action,
Mm-hmm.
and then if you need something else, fine. But wouldn't you be remiss if you love your patient, if you love your employees, wouldn't you be remiss to not say go to a chiropractor first? And that's what's published, and we're getting some positive results from that nationwide. So we're hitting it from different angles. But all of you out there, you might not know it. Look in the mirror in the morning as a positive motivation thing and say, I've saved some people's lives in my career, and I might do it today. And that's true. That's not me. That's fact. That's
fantastic message.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
You bet.
Well, Kent, I'm so amazed. Like, I don't even know I know none of us know half of the things you do. Like, somebody with as many years of experience, you could be just sitting and resting on your laurels. And when you say you're too busy even for golf, I mean, people have no idea. I've seen you over all these years at the biggest events, and, you guys are everywhere between Foot Levelers and between the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress. I remember, and I just wanted to say, I know we're probably almost out of time, but I wanted to ask you this because I remember years ago hearing when you were involved in like the Bone and Joint Committee.
Mm-hmm.
What does that even entail? How long ago was this? This has been, might be aging myself, but what kind of insight do you get from being, involved in these kind of committees inside, these institutions? I mean, you really have had so much experience, I think, that really has prepared you for where you are today. And I don't think people understand how much work you really are putting in to help get people into chiropractic.
Well, Jacqueline, you got me thinking now, and I'm trying to remember when that was myself, but it was a long time. It was a long time ago.
I was going to say it was a long time ago.
We were children. Okay, let's go with that. And the ACA nominated me to be part of this multidisciplinary committee. It was interesting to get all the different points of view on how they thought different conditions and things should be treated. And let me just say that there were different points of view.
Right.
You know what mine was.
I know.
Hasn't changed ever. Yeah.
And I know that it's taken a long time, but it's never been a better time to be a chiropractor. And,
never.
And we give thanks so much for people like you who are, been out there and fighting the fight for chiropractic and making sure and just teeing us up for where we are today. So chiropractors just have to, just take advantage of all of the hard work that, you and many other people like you have done to lay the foundation so that right now we can enjoy and just get.
It takes all of us. Mm-hmm. And we're all so busy. It's very easy to know that between practice and family and social and everything, I get it. I understand that. Mm-hmm. But to me, this is something that's sacred. It's extremely special, and we have a gift that others need to enjoy, and they need to profit from our knowledge about how we can make them have a better life. And so what I'd say to everybody out there, manage that adjustment when they get vertical. Do the right thing. Wouldn't it kind of be malpractice if you didn't do it? I mean, no matter how good you are, it's not going to hold like it should, like it could.
There's an ethical issue there.
Yeah, right? and then get involved with your state, join things, but become a member of the foundation. Mm-hmm. We've got a great track record of success, and we're just warming up. It's going to go big. It's going to go big. And I'm so proud of being part of this. It's all wonderful.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Kent, for joining us today. I wanted to see if there's any other points you wanted to mention or anything you wanted to say to our listeners before we take off for this time. I know we'll definitely be inviting you back.
Well, I'd love to come back anytime you want me. And what I'd say to the listeners is this. You've worked hard. You're in practice. You're You've seen the wonders of chiropractic. Remember, the reason we got into foot levelers, the reason we got into it in the very beginning is my father wanted to be a neurosurgeon. And he was in the military in World War II and got some shots to go overseas. And it was bad vaccine. And it put him in an iron lung. It paralyzed him. 150 people died. This is not published anywhere, okay? This is covered up. But the point is, my dad was in an iron lung. He was there for 6 months. He told me he used to break a sweat trying to move his little finger, and he couldn't do it because he was so paralyzed. And then he said he prayed to God that he'd die. And he said, well, that didn't work. He says, so then I prayed to God that whatever got me better, I'd devote my life to it. And my grandmother took him to a chiropractor, and they carried him in, and with help, he walked out. Wow. So he firsthand, my father, firsthand experienced the miracles of chiropractic. And he forgot that wanted to be a neurosurgeon. He enrolled in chiropractic college, and the rest is history. And we always said, he told me, he said, we have to always give back. He says, this saves, he said, if it wouldn't have happened, he says, you wouldn't be here. And he's right. You know, if he wouldn't have got better, I wouldn't have been born. Right. But the point is, we've given over $35 million back to the profession. And I only say that to tell you we're committed. I'm not trying to show off about anything. It's just that we're in with both feet, and we care, and we're not going to stop. And that's why, because you know what? It's personal. It's personal.
Kent Greenawalt, CEO, Foot Levelers, and so many other organizations supporting chiropractic. Thank you for all you do. Of course, look for future articles that Kent helps us allocate to the pages of the American Chiropractor in future issues. Every issue, you have an article, and even in March, hopefully we'll be launching something with that pillow that you mentioned. So we're very excited to have your contributions regularly, and look for more in the coming months.
Well, it's been a pleasure being with you and everyone out there. Nice to be with you too, and thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.